Hello, everybody. Welcome to the inaugural first ever. I gotta change my camera real quick. Boom, there's the feed. That's what we want. The very first episode of the SSN Patch Notes, where we're hoping about once a week we're gonna sit down, Stephanie, Ma, and myself, to talk over all the great news, junky stuff in the gaming world that we all want to talk about. As I've stated, as you saw in the intro, we're talking Siege, baby, today. Nothing but maybe a couple extra things. We don't know. We'll see how it goes. But I am joined for the first time, and hopefully not the last time, depending how much I embarrass her. Miss Stephanie Ma. Steph, how are you today?
Well, I'm good. I'm good. Happy Victoria Day.
Happy Victoria Day for us Canadians, and for you Americans, happy Monday.
Happy Monday.
Now, I gotta say, there's been some permutations of the show. Originally, we were, Front Street, gonna be nothing but Siege news, nonstop. And then the staff brought us like, well, what if we do like maybe do some other gaming news stuff? I'm like, yeah, let's see if that's possible. Let's see if there's any interesting news.
If we
things.
can do it.
And then, sure enough, I found an app on my phone that lets us kind of just gathers up all the news information that I could ever want for games. And I was like, all right, yeah, fuck it, we're gonna do that. But as you saw on the title card, we are going to be talking almost exclusively Siege-related things because this past weekend, the Rainbow Six Siege Invitationals have happened. We have been crowned a new 2021 champion. It's, Steph's dressed to the nines with it, wearing her team, her supporter, who we'll talk about in a little bit.
We'll talk about those later.
Yeah. And also, with that, which they do every time they have an invitational or something grand happening, we get this lovely sneak peek into the new season coming up. This season being North Star, the new operator, and my God, the changes that are constantly doing on these like seasonal updates is staggering, and we will talk all about that and some more negative things where we will both speak freely on our minds on it. But before we go any further, just got to touch on this right now. A little housekeeping, a little heads up, a little maintenance. I got to let you guys know. The podcast, the SSN podcast, which is normally released at 1 o'clock today and usually released earlier for our patrons at patreon.com/SelectStarNetwork. It's not going to be live right away. There was a bit of an encoding issue when I tried to render the things yesterday. They are finished now, and they will be going live as soon as I can. Once we're done this, I will be pushing hard to go ahead and get that done. Now, it's going to take some time to upload. I do apologize, and we'll get that up as fast as we can for you. That being said, it is time to talk. Steph, what do you got for us?
I was thinking we could start with the new season because there's a lot of stuff there.
Yeah, you know what? That sounds good to me. All right, so the new season being called North Star is being released probably 3 weeks because Ubisoft likes to be a little bit vague about this, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah. It goes live tomorrow on test servers, so if you have test servers, make sure you update that because we all know it's going to be a hefty update.
Yeah, most likely.
More than 30 gigs.
Yep. And if you're doing it, the day of, the moment it goes live, there's a good chance that you're going to be waiting a while because test servers tend to get bogged down with the downloads, especially on the Steam client side. The Ubisoft, like the Uconnect side, doesn't seem to be that bad every time I've done it on that side. Just a heads up, just be prepared for a bit of a delay if you're downloading things.
Yeah. But so this new season, called North Star, I believe it's not called Operation North Star, I believe it's just North Star, has a new defender. So last season with Crimson Heist, we got a new attacker with Flores. This season we have a new defender, and her name is Thunderbird. And she's pretty cool. And basically she is putting Doc out of business.
So
to say the least.
I've seen this, right? And a lot of people have talked about this. And I've seen sides of watching some of the information, obviously the 30-minute informational like release notes that they posted during the invitational. They talk about it. And I've seen their point. I've seen Bikini Buddy's view of it, and I've seen There's someone else that I had watched. It might have been Roy, or no, it was Gregor Haven, and all of them actually are varied. It's very strange. So Bikini believes this is a dock replacement. Gregor believes that this is actually a not a good character. Like, sorry, rephrase that. It is she's a good fragger, but her utility isn't that good. Where do you fall on that? And let's describe what the utility is afterwards.
I think it's hard. So I guess another housekeeping thing is neither of us are pro players. I play very much casually. Larcher plays more ranked than I do. I'm
For
more
now.
into the I'm gonna scream at the screen and hopefully I get a kill. So we come from a very casual standpoint. Obviously, there's a side of things that is different when you're playing competitively and playing as a pro. But personally, from like a casual standpoint, I like her utility. It's a bit weird, and I think it's definitely going to get misused in some places,
Mm-hmm.
and they're definitely going to nerf her in some way. But I like it just on the fact that whenever you play with randoms and there's a doc, they never heal you.
Yes.
So it's like,
It is safe to say that even in the video themselves, the video package that they had, they even admit the one of the presenters that as a doc main or when he plays doc, he doesn't even stim his teammates. He's usually very selfish and keeps them for himself. This is an idea that you would be removing uh, uh, the doc main mentality because you have a set it and forget it tool, which I'm very surprised that we're having another one of those though in the series. Is another set it and forget it. Because that a lot of people have been in the scene have been very upset with these ideas of an operator that doesn't need to be on the device to activate it or has to be like occupied and be instead of being able to run around while, as an example, Jaeger's ADSs will go off and Jaeger could be across the room and not have to worry about it. And now you have another 3-speed with arguably potentially one of the strongest loadouts that I've seen in a while. And
yeah, her loadout is very.
yeah, it's interesting, right? Because but before we even go into that, let's talk the utility itself is basically a ping pong dispenser from the looks of it. It's called a Kona device,
Yes.
and it's like a little box, and some people have referred it to like almost like an R2D2 or BB-8 kind of droid because it's got a little face, it's got a little personality. And the ability of it is, if you're within its range, its radius of effect, it will shoot out a ping pong at you, which will grant you, I believe, 30 health.
Yeah, so it's basically a doc stim.
Yes, 30 health every 30 seconds. It will reload, and you get 3 of them as Thunderbird. And like I said, it is a set it and forget it utility. And the dangers of it and the positives of it is, yes, every 30 seconds you can stim someone. You can overstim them like a doc or like a finca. And it will, if you're overstimmed, it will reduce your overhealth will go down per every second over how long it takes till you get back to 100. Mm-hmm. Also, if you are downed but not out, you can crawl over to the Kona station and it, like we'll say, right click or whatever utility button press, and it will fire a ping pong at you, and you will revive with 30 health. Wowzers.
Yep.
Wowzers. Super strong, right? The negative towards it, it also does it for enemies. So if you...
Yay!
right? So let's just say you're a disgusting, dirty ash main who just likes to rush in and just try to, frag everyone, and you hit a Kapkan mine, right? It blows you up. You're down to 49 health. Well, don't worry, buddy. You just eliminated 3 people inside of armory on border. You jump over the half wall. There's the ping pong. Boink! Oh, look, you're now up to 79 health. Don't worry about it. You're fine.
I mean, you say it's a set it and forget it kind of utility, and in a sense, you can play it like that, but I think even in the information demo thing they put up yesterday, it's because it can be used on attackers. They did kind of nod at like you should watch it a little bit and like keep track of it
Mm-hmm.
because it could make or break a fight. And it'll be very interesting seeing it in like ranked gameplay and then in pro gameplay if they even use her because
Well, again, so
gunfights.
yes, gunfights, but it is dangerous as a utility because let's just say theoretically, we'll use everyone's favorite map, Border, or even hell, let's fuck Borders. I think is one of the best ones that I can put an example on, or even Consulate CEO office. You have someone playing around CEO, you give them a Kona. Okay, cool. They're now dead because they got headshotted. The attacking team jumps in, they go to plant, and if they wanted to now, because there's a Kona in that area, let's say in that little closet area, after they plant, they could hide in there and just get stimmed every 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And defend and get potentially overhealed. And then imagine this. Because I love this. This is my mind's going crazy. Because not only can you get overstimmed, if for some reason no one picked up a rook armor, well, you pick that up. That's an additional 20 health. You have the overstim from that. And if you have a finca and they boost you, like you're a killing machine. You're at I think the highest you can get is 150 health in the game in general. And that's just
might be higher, but I don't remember.
so, but let's just say theoretically, for safety's sake, 150 health. You've planted. You're on site. You have nothing to worry about now, baby. Like you are in it to win it. So there's that danger aspect. But to compensate with that, there's a pretty nice loadout. Do you remember what the loadout is? Do you want to talk about that?
Her loadout is in general, Thunderbird is a 3-speed 1 health operator. Her primary is the Spas shotgun that Cav has that apparently is very hard to control. I don't use shotguns. And she also has Finka's Spear. Her secondaries, she has a pistol and she also has a Bearing 9. And her secondary gadgets are Impacts and she has a Nitro.
I was wondering when they were making this character, Thunderbird, and they thought about the speed and they thought about her loadout. I am very surprised that they decided to give her a C4 because a 3-speed with a C4 is always dangerous. You know, when you look at Pulse, you look at Malusi, you know, look at Thunderbird. That's lethal. And with that spear, so here's the thing, right? Bandit, thank you. Bandit is another one. Campbell in the chat that you can always join us at twitch.tv/SSN. It is this mentality of like it feels like it might be too strong because also apparently the damage output for the spear is relative or similar to that of the 416C, and if I'm not mistaken, has similar fire rate, but the spear is more of a laser beam now than the 416C.
Yeah.
That's dangerous.
It's really interesting because they mentioned that you're basically supposed to play Thunderbird as a roamer, which is basically what Malusi and Pulse are, and Bandit if you don't Bandit trick kind of thing. So she's gonna be very overpowered. I am very interested because I know Intero tweeted about it, is that they are mixing and matching attacker and defender guns.
Yep.
Which is interesting because she's a defender, so it makes sense to have Cav's shotgun, but then she has Finka's spear, which is an attacker gun. So I know he's talked about it briefly, but it's like, when are we going to like keep certain guns to certain sides?
Yeah.
Because then it's like anyone can get anything. Woo!
Yeah, so it is that point where we've reached, and Antero, that is a very good point, because for the longest time, it was defenders have specific weapons, attackers have specific weapons. And it was the idea of you didn't want to give a defender a weapon that is as powerful as an attacker's, because technically the mentality is you should have an easier time defending than you are pushing for an attack, because you can hold angles, have more insight of how you set up your sights, so you know where to be, when to be there, and when to attack. It is interesting that they've done this, again, with a weapon that a lot of people kind of sleep on, and I'm not too sure why, because not a lot of people talk about the spear. Most people would, that I've heard, usually when they talk about Finka, if they ever talk about Finka, is the sausage Finka rush, or just go in with the 100 mag, LMG and just blast away. People normally don't talk about the spear. And it also, just to kind of confirm, just to let everyone know, to rest their weary minds, the spear will not have, a 2.5 or a 1.5, nothing like that. It has NATO reflex, and I think not a red dot, but a holographic. That's the sights that they're giving her.
I think that's what it is.
And I think what's the most shocking thing in all of this, right, with this operator and all the other operators that's going to be happening to you. Like I said, this is a jam-packed season. Okay, the test server is going to have so much to work with. One of the things that they're doing to help out just everyone in general is they're modifying the attachments now. So your compensator, muzzle brake, and flash hiders will have very specific modifiers to your weapons that, from what I've seen, turns a lot of guns like the Bearing 9 into a laser beam of a weapon. Have you seen this stuff? Have you seen what they've done?
Yeah, I briefly saw it in Roy's video that I was watching this morning, but it will be very interesting because they also changed recoils on certain guns with the patch notes that came out today. And let's just say that certain guns, like Doki's gun, that is almost sometimes impossible to control, is easier to control now, especially with your attachments.
Yes.
So I believe I would have to find an actual thing, but one of them is like the suppressor is staying the same, and it might be the Larcher. You might have to fill in on this one. It's the flash hider
Yes.
is that the one that brings it back to the center quickly?
So from what I remember, and this is stuff that I watched from last night that I'm watching now, or that I'm trying to remember from everything. This is the way that it goes. The muzzle brake will now help you recenter your gun after firing a few shots. Your flash hider, if I'm not mistaken, is going to help you with vertical bounce, and the compensator will help you with your horizontal, your sway, your left to right.
Yes, that sounds right. I don't know names.
Yeah. So basically, the idea of it, as I remember someone had pointed out, is if you take, we'll say, the Bearing 9, right? The Bearing 9, which usually has a very random spray. The Bearing 9, mind you, I want to remind you, Thunderbird now has. Insane. I love it, but it's insane. The Bearing 9 would tend to have like a very random horizontal curvature to it. Well, if you slap, we'll say, the compensator on that, all you got to do is now control is your vertical recoil, and you're going to slap some fools. And if you're a person that, like in Pro League or your diamonds and all that, it's done. You're done, son.
Yeah, so in the patch notes that came out today, they released a small section on weapon balancing, and they have a small section on the Bearing 9. So basically, they modified the recoil to make it easier to control, and the horizontal spread will be more constant and closer to the center. So,
yeah, it's
put an attachment on that and go kill people.
Yeah, so that is the Imagine. So it's, I think they've realized that, and this is speculation on my part, obviously. It does feel like I think Ubisoft may have realized that they may have gone too far with some of the initial recoil control or recoil nerfs that they've done on certain guns, like your Scorpion, your Bearings, your SMG 12s, SMG 11. I've always felt like I could control that one, so it wasn't as terrible. I felt like you could kind of keep a steady aim on that when you wanted to. But now with this, with now an attachment, we'll say like a flash hider, kidding me? Come on now. You may have now potentially buffed your weapons to the point where they're going to go back to how they used to be. Where there was no reason to worry about your recoil, your pattern going off to the side. it's going to be interesting. But again, there's still so much more in this because it is with this season that they're also bringing in the drone. Well, this is in the test server, the drone after
Yeah.
death. Steph, explain that to the people, please.
So basically, the thing we all hate doing in Siege is dying. And then thing after that we hate doing the most is sitting there and not being able to do anything and hoping that someone crosses your cam and being able to give a call out. But now, after you die as a defender and an attacker, you'll be able to basically use your gadgets. So on defending side, you'll be able to control maestro cams, you'll be able to control echo drones, you'll be able to control Mozzie pested drones, and then on attacking side, you might not want to lose your drones because you can control those now and get a lot of intel. And it will be very interesting. I, for one, am excited for this. I don't think that they're gonna keep the defender sided stuff as powerful as it will be because like we saw SI last year, an echo drone can make or break a whole round kind of
Yeah.
thing. And maestro cams are very like powerful, but just a regular drone is like, I'm jumping around as a drone.
Yeah.
Here's some information kind of thing. And it'll be really interesting because they're definitely tackling the thing of after you die, you have nothing to do and it gets boring. Like, when you're playing, it's boring, but then when you're a streamer or a content creator, it's like, what am I going to do now?
What am I going to
So
talk
it's
to
really
chat?
interesting
Come
that
on.
they're tackling. I
Yeah,
mean, sometimes your chat's not saying anything.
Yes, that's right. That's right. So it is interesting to see how this is going to be changing some of the ideas, and a way that I believe Ubisoft is trying to counteract the idea that this might be too strong, even on the for the defender side, is for attackers. They're now introducing the idea of shattered glass. For those who don't know what I'm talking about, this will be added into the test server and it will go live as far as we can tell. Where if you walk up to an evil eye, Mira's black mirror, or even now the former bulletproof, malleable, bulletproof cameras, you will now shatter the glass where the person on either side will not be able to see anything. So that means if you are Mira, your black mirror gets meleeed and it's shattered. The other way to see through it will be to pop the glass and make a drop. If you are Maestro and your glass is broken, you will not be able to see anything, but you will still be able to hear everything. Which means that if you want to still zap, you now have to open up your shields and take a chance at shooting at zapping at people, which then obviously gives the enemy the chance to shoot your gun, shoot the gun, and destroy your device. If you are a bulletproof camera, they have done some pretty interesting modifications to it. So now, yes, it is no longer breakable by melee or by shooting, as far as I can tell from the video that they've shown. And you also have an EMP dart that can blast towards cameras, devices, whatever you have. The Flores RC drones. I believe even Nook. If you shoot Nook with it, it doesn't do any damage, but it will disable those utilities, those gadgets.
Mm-hmm.
And again,
it's like an EMP grenade.
That's exactly right. And now, as an attacker, if you don't want that to happen, you can walk up to it and break the glass, but the camera is still on, which means that the enemy team, the defending team, can now still hear if you're in master bedroom. If you're leaving to go into trophy, they'll have audible callouts.
Mm-hmm.
These are the modifications they're trying to make it so that it's not all one-sided. Because in all honesty, this could become the return, okay, of the mute Mozzie meta. Imagine that as a defender, right? Droning after death. You've captured 3 drones thanks to mute jamming them all. You're dead. You now have 3 playable drones to drive around and ping people. Woo!
Yeah. We thought, like, I remember we joked about how it was basically you always had to bring a mute and a Mozzie when Flores came out because his Rotero drones are annoying, and thankfully not everyone plays Flores because he's an interesting operator and his gadgets, like, it's a hit or miss sometimes.
Yeah.
But especially with droning after death, you will have to bring a mute or a Mozzie or both, or something that will, Or you just have to be really good and shoot all the drones.
Right.
Like,
That is
you,
the
you
idea.
can't
And
really.
you can't really defend yourself on that. Where, again, I've watched the Greg Havener video where he's trying to plant. A drone comes by, he shoots it. Another drone comes by, he shoots that one. Another drone comes by, and then there's an echo drone, and then there's this, and there's that, and it's like,
Yeah.
oh boy, it will become. There's a fear that a Maestro or an Echo, the aggressive players, it'll benefit them because if they die, oh big whoop! I already placed down my cameras and I've already placed down my yokais. I die, whoop de doo. I take them out of hiding when someone's about to plant, pop them up, and concussion blast because you can still use the abilities on those drones. Which means if you have a Twitch drone and you have died, you can hop on that Twitch drone and you can zap a bunch of people if you want. There's possibilities endless.
I think it'll be very interesting. I know a lot of pro players are talking about how this will definitely abuse the yellow ping system, which will be very interesting to see how UB will change it or cater it towards pro. Um, but in general, in casual or in like unranked ranked, we don't really care about our drone economy. It's a big thing in pro play, but we kind of just throw our drones, and if it gets shot, it gets shot, and we have a good time with it.
Yeah.
But now it's really a big thing of like, if you don't have drones anymore, well, first you never have, like, you won't have information, but then it's like you can't get more information. So be careful with your drones, folks.
Be smart. Be smart.
That's the main thing to me. Be careful with my.
Well, it is interesting, like you said. I believe this will help push, especially in ranked and maybe even unranked a little bit, the idea of saving your drones instead of just, I want all the points, I want to be on the top of the leaderboard, so I'm going to jump in real quick, I'm going to find the bombs, get the 50 points, get the 100 points, I'm going to scan all the enemies, and I'm going to bail. Or, oh wait, my drone got shot, who cares, I got what I wanted. This will be the idea where you might not see drones being pushed in as much on the early stages, where you might see, maybe at the beginning of the round, there might be 1 or 2 drones at most, going in, trying to find sight, and then getting out. Or the players will have to use game knowledge, being like, all right, we're playing cafe. Most likely they're going to be 2 places. They're either going to be upstairs by cocktail and bar, or they're going to be downstairs in kitchen and prep. Those are going to be my 2 guesses. Let's go from there. It is this idea that, especially because I know Campbell's pointing it out right now that in higher elo, drone economy is very high. I'm curious to see if in the golds and lore now, maybe probably only up to silver, where if it'll affect this now. Because, there's a lot of trolls in silver. And maybe that's a good way for them to troll, is to have their drones after death. So
it'll be interesting. And like you mentioned, it's only on test servers. It's not going live with this new season.
Yeah.
So if you're watching or listening, play the test servers.
Yes.
The UB staff on Twitter have been adamantly like, please give us constructive criticism, because this is a thing that if it doesn't work, it probably might not roll out. And we won't know that unless you test it and talk about it and be nice and constructive about it.
And
so yeah.
That is always important. And there's nothing that we need to talk about, and that's this week's sponsor. This episode of the Patch Notes is brought to you by us, SSN Network. What do you expect? What do you expect? Come on. All right. Wow, right? Hey, if you like what you see and you want to support us in any kind of way, super simple. You can go to patreon.com/SelectStarNetwork, or at the lowest tier in American dollars, $1.20. You could support us and become one of the schmucks, and we love you for it. If you want to see this show, the post show that's going to follow with it, and then also down the road, more podcasts that are exclusively found on patreon.com/SelectStarNetwork. You can go to the live and uncut tier, which is $11.50 American, or $11.50 if you're Canadian. Them's the breaks for us Canadians. We just got to live with it. There are also a bunch of perks that go with that, with the $10 discount. You get to participate in Patreon-only polls, questions and answers, the whole 9 yards. And there's our higher tiers in there as well, if you're crazy enough to go ahead and jump into that. If you can't afford that, we totally understand. You can simply just go and support us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and obviously right here on twitch.tv/SSN Plays. Give us a follow, share the feeds, just make sure that other people know that there's a bunch of crazy nerds out here that want to have a good time too. Thanks for your support. We always love you, schmucks. Boom. Segue done. Ha! Even on this show, I still got it. All right. One of the other things we're going to talk about very, very quickly, I think, is some of the balancing that they put out. Where some of these things are just, it's dead givens. I'm glad that they did it. Other ones, I'm kind of curious as to why they did it. And so we're going to start right now. So Malusi's Wubwubs will now have a weak point when opening when you're within the radius of the effect that you can now shoot, which means you don't have to melee it to break it. If you're in the area of effect and it flowers, it blossoms, you could shoot it and boom, it's done. That is cool. I don't think anyone has any issues with that at all. Yeah, it's just a good change for an operator that a lot of people thought was too strong. Next one after that.
Take that, Malusi.
Fuck you, Malusi. And then we also look at the smoke changes. So now Smoke has his own unique sound when he disperses his beauty, and from what we can tell on the video package and what I've seen from some of the other content creators when they've posted their videos, the smoke is no longer pretty much opaque to the point where you cannot see a damn thing. It looks like now, depending how much it disperses in the area, you can actually see a little bit through it. So as an attacker and as a defender, you have a better chance of just fragging out if you see someone coming by. Also, they've changed the propagation system to be more like the fire propagation that they have, which means the smokes will no longer just spew out in the wall if you put it on the floor. This is kind of a big game changer for smoke mains, because a lot of them have learned how to put down a smoke on the opposite side of somewhere someone's reinforced or someone's planting, and the smoke would literally propagate through a solid wall to kill them or stop them from planting. That's not the case anymore. The smoke now has to have a clear line of sight to enter that area for it to work. They're like, if it's bars, iron bars or whatever, if it is a hole in the wall, that is the only way it'll propagate through to the other side now.
Yeah.
That's kind of big, and I'm happy for that. That's gonna be, it's gonna be adding a little bit more skill and ingenuity from smoke mains out there, so they can't just toss it and whatever. It's gonna go through the wall. They're gonna get them. I got nothing to worry about. It may have to require them to make a hole, throw it, and then risk their beauties being seen to then getting destroyed. I think that's kind of a good twist. Another big one. I was just looking at this, and I believe it's what's her face? Ash is getting one less breaching charge. She's going from 3 to 2 now.
Yeah, so she's getting one less breaching charge, but her breaching rounds are now immune to electricity. So I think that's what
Really?
they kind of thought was gonna balance her out.
Mm-hmm.
And they also increased her vertical kick. So
Okay, so the R4C has a bit more to it. Okay, all right. They're trying to figure out a way to take these operators who are usually so high on the pick list and platinum above, who are like usually so far to the right they're off screen like Jaeger, and they're trying to find ways to nerf them, and not make it so that it's it's not impossible for them to be useful. Because yes, the fact that for the longest time an Ash charge would get destroyed by electricity was kind of a pain in the ass. Bringing it down to 2, giving that ability could be beneficial, but it could also be risky, because now, I don't know if you remember this, but sometimes people would do as Kair mains, they put the wire down on the floor, they'll electrify the wall in the fence, the wire at the same time with their Kair charge. Now, potentially, Ash could just throw right into it and blow it up and kind of mess up the plans. This is really small dynamics that are changing here that, if done correctly, this could really change the way that people play this game. Another way that they're doing that, and this is just for me and for Steph, and maybe the other Rook mains out there. I always said I wanted to see Rook, when he started the match, already have a plate inside. This is the next best thing, and I'm okay with that. Rook now, when he puts down his plates, automatically picks a plate up and puts it on for himself.
Yeah.
Yes, our man here is taking care of himself first and foremost, and I appreciate that, because
he should,
as he should, because this will also stop toxic individuals out there that will, the moment the plates go down, they just break it. No more, because Rook will at least have one no matter what. Ha ha!
This also is in my head, this is Ubisoft's way of saying sorry for giving Rook so many shitty skins in every event. So small wins, guys, small wins.
Yeah. You got to take them when we
But
get.
but Ubisoft, if you're listening, please give Rook better skins. Thank you. Please.
Steph is not a fan of the Fishbowl Elite skin. I'm just throwing that out there.
It's just the Elite's not great. It's
Oh man, no.
his skin with the last event wasn't great. He looks sad.
Look,
Like,
I'm okay with it because they gave me Buckethead Rook, and that's all I want. I just want Bucket, and I got Bucket. Some of the other changes we can talk about real quick, and this is an important one for everyone, whether you're a pro, a casual, a rank star, somewhere in the middle. It does not matter. This is important to everyone. They're testing this out on the test servers right now. And it is that when you die, your body, whether it's client side or not, when it falls, after a few seconds, will just disappear, leaving an icon on the floor showing you which operator had just died there. That is, in my mind, the biggest and potentially greatest thing that they could have done. They have foregone the idea of making this a realistic tactical shooter and have now just made this into a fun competitive shooter by removing the threat of client-side bodies. Steph, how do you feel about this?
I have no feelings about it.
Really?
I have more feelings about how they're removing bullet holes.
Okay.
And that is, as someone who plays a lot of casual by myself, bullet holes is just the bane of my existence because everyone thinks that there's some MLG player, and sometimes they are. Sometimes there's like a diamond in the rough, but people like, as I said, people like to be rats, and they prone and they break and they put bullet holes into the wall that you don't even see when you're droning. And next thing you know, you die to the wall, and you're like, well, great, I've died to the wall. And they're like, nope, that's just a bullet hole. And you're like, well, that's shitty. Well, yeah. So it's nice. So now basically a single bullet hole you won't be able to look through with your gun, but you can still basically break the wall to look through it with bullets. But then you'll have a bigger hole. So,
yes. Yeah, for those who are wondering, it still creates the same damage propagation of when you shoot too many times with an assault rifle, the hand pistol, whatever it is, you will make a actual hole that covers both sides of the wall. Because in Siege, just like in real life, there are two sides of a wall, and you'll have to shoot through both if you want to make a hole or punch through it. So melee holes are still here because you punch through both ends. Bullet holes are no longer a thing in this game, which I think for a lot of us, it is a breath of fresh air, because when I was competing in the higher golds and plats, that was one of the things that drove me. And I know some people, yeah, bananas, drive a banana sandwich. I know there's some people in chat, if you still hear, Pimp thinks that it is not a good idea. He thinks that, and this is not me like trying to put words in his mouth, this is what he told me last night. And he is a person who plays in the college leagues. He does play a higher sense of the game than some of us. And his thought was, and if he's still here, maybe he can correct me if I butcher it, that these bullet holes are easily countered if you were to drone the area out. You could see what that is and then go from there. My argument with that, because this can happen, and it has happened to me, where you have droned an area, it has been cleared. As you are descending, someone does come by, make the bullet hole, you cross over, and you get shot from it. It is an unfortunate series of events that can and will happen. But to just and this is not a skill, as Steph has said. This is this Pimp is in chat saying right now, bullet holes are easy to counter by droning multiple rooms in front of you or having someone live drone you. Teamwork is an important thing in this game. Unfortunately, where I'm at in the ranked or even unranked ELO, the MMR, we can't always rely on teammates droning for you if you're pushing. Teamwork is an important thing that a lot of us still have a lot to work on. If we were pros, it's no problem, right? Pros can take care of it. What's up?
Look, when
Uh
I accidentally
oh.
flash you with Ying, it's not my fault.
What are you
That's
saying?
your fault. I've already told you that the Ying is going out. It's your fault you walk into it.
Oh my god! For reference, for people that understand, almost every time any of us, it's not just Steph, but Steph plays Ying a lot. When
Ying a lot.
when an operator is picked like Ying, whose her Candelas go off and flash, unfortunately, there's always at least one person that will also get flashed on your team. It has happened
Yeah.
so many times. It's just unfortunate since Steph plays Ying a lot, she tends to flash people a lot. And for some reason, I seem to be the target. So it makes me feel like I'm being attacked by Steph. But that's
It's
not a here
fine.
there. I just, you know what? Give me Warden's glasses if we're playing with Steph and she's Ying. That's all I want, okay? But yeah.
Oh, quick roundabout back to smokes of smoke.
Yes.
I was watching Bikini's video,
Yep.
and typically you can always look through smokes with his glasses, but looking through the smokes now, like smokes
Yeah.
with the warning glasses, it's like
Night and
it's
day.
pretty nice.
Yeah.
It's night and day. It's really nice.
It is now pretty much you can't see the smoke.
Yeah.
That's
There's
the
also like
perfect.
little particles now in it, which is very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And UB has done a lot to like up their like textures.
Yeah.
Too bad I can never see them because my game is on medium.
But I'm sure it looks great.
Yeah.
Now, before we go, is there anything else in the patch notes, everything that's happened that you want to talk about that you think is a huge conversation piece that we haven't touched yet?
I don't think anything's really big conversation piece, but just looking at the notes that came out today. This is only for test server, but with Nook, basically proximity based gadgets aren't going to be triggered for her anymore. So they're testing this out again on test servers, and it might not be a thing that will go into the new season, but that'll be interesting. And Finka will be, her ability will basically be able to fill up teammates' base health, and the exceeding boost health will be allocated as overheal. So that'll be interesting as well.
Yeah. So for those who don't know, they tested this out last time in the test server with Nook, where when she would use her HEL ability, not only was she not able to be seen on cameras, but any proximity based gadgets would also be affected, where she would be able to walk by them and not be detected. So that means EDDs will not go off, Griswold mines will not be set off, the Malusi Wubwubs, the Banshees, but we all call them Wubwubs. The Wubwubs will not go off, so then she'd be able to silent step into sight, theoretically, and, eliminate the threat. Now, one of the things that when that happened, a lot of people said, well, this became kind of a decisive discussion, where people had said, this is what we needed for Nook. This makes Nook play an actual reasonable pick over, we'll say, an Ashe. Because the FMG9, it's an accurate gun, it's a laser beam, high enough fire rate, and you click on heads, it won't even matter. And she has a Deeg and grenades. Other people thought that it was too broken because she'd be able to literally walk on site and no one would be able to see her at all. I think, and a lot of people in the community have kind of echoed the sentiment, that it would be nice that if she got near these devices that are normally supposed to detect her, your EDDs, your Banshees, your Grismonts, your Yokai drone, even your Evil Eye, that if you were to get near those, she would get near those, the machines would start sparking like they would if they got hit by an EMP blast, and have that sound, that sparking sound. So it would at least give some kind of warning for our defending operators that there may be someone near them. What do you think about that, Steph?
Yeah. It's interesting because I feel like just because she has her her gadget's called like the hell,
Yeah.
something. Just because she has that, in my mind, I feel like it shouldn't, like, things should still go off, because for some reason my mind, like, it doesn't make sense that because her main, like, she doesn't go invisible for you, like
Yeah.
viewing her.
As a person,
Like
yeah.
you'll still see a Nook crawling around like this, right? But it's like it's mainly for cameras, so it doesn't make sense that a gadget that's based on proximity would not be able to go off. But at the same time, like for gameplay wise, like I'm okay with it. So it's like, you know, I just go with the flow, Larcher. Whatever they put out, I'll just be like, okay, cool.
Well,
They
then we
nerfed Jaeger's gun, and I was like, okay, I'll still use Jaeger, but it's like having closer in the ceiling. It's
yeah.
fine.
Yeah. It's interesting. Now one of the other big things, obviously, Favela's has gotten reworked. It's a
night map.
It's a night map with festive fireworks in the sky, and basically
It's pretty.
it is a complete it's a new map. It is,
It's
as a
a
lot
new
of
map.
people, like, I
It's
know
not a rework.
it's a new map. Like, they have said it on their showcase. I've seen the footage. It's almost all the exterior walls have now been replaced with hard walls, which means you cannot breach them with soft breaches or even hard breaches outside.
There's one wall that you can breach from the outside.
One wall.
A singular wall.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful.
It is. They have a garbage chute, which is very different, that you can actually drop down if you want to. There is
in there.
Yeah, it's it has a lot of promise, and
oh my homies.
Yeah.
I mean, it'll be a more fun game, like map to play in casual, I think.
It'll be more competitive. It'll have a slightly more competitive edge to it, and who knows? It could be, at this point, this might become, depending how the audience receives it, how the fans like it, we could, by chance, get this in ranked, or at least in unranked. Just giving us another unranked map could be interesting, right?
Yeah. I know some people who got, like, content creators who got early access to the stuff. They mentioned that because to call it a rework is unjust. It's a completely new map. Like, they've basically changed the whole layout. Like, the pink rooms aren't bright pink anymore. They're like a subtle pink. There's no more yellow. There's no more green. I don't think there is a drug room. Who knows? But it's a complete rework, and I think what Roy said was that there's more windows, so it's a lot of windows like Bartlett, but less like Bartlett, which is,
I get that. So I think it'll be an interesting play to get on, see how it feels, and honestly, look, who knows? I know that they said it's a casual rework, but they say a lot of things, right? Companies, people say a bunch of different things all the time. If the reception is positive enough, there could be a demand to put this, maybe, even just in an unranked pool. Who knows?
Yeah.
We'll see. Yeah, we will see. Speaking of
it
things
definitely has to get to the public.
Yes, yeah, we have to give it a couple of months to see how everyone really fares with it and what the general opinion of it is. But another thing that we have seen, just want to talk about this very briefly because I got some hard-hitting news from Nick, our dear pimp of games, twitch.tv/games, where the SI have passed and we have ourselves a champion. Now, much to...
What did I tell you, Larcher? Before all of this, very late into it. So, in general, quick recap, because I interrupted Larcher. Quick recap. NA didn't get very far. APAC also didn't get very far. In the end, it was basically LATAM. The finals was Team Liquid versus Ninjas in Pajamas. Some of you might remember Ninjas in Pajamas from SI 2020, where they played SSG for the finals. SSG won. But this year, Ninjas in Pajamas are the world champions, which is very, very exciting. But before we went into this, Larcher was betting on a different team, and I told him no.
Look, okay, when things were still, early on, there are a couple of teams that I wanted to see win. All right, obviously, Steph's wearing one of the jerseys. I would have loved my boys in SSG to become a 2-time champ for them, a 3-time champ for our boy Canadian, because he did return out of retirement for this. It did not happen. Unfortunately, it did not happen. What?
It wasn't their time.
No, they ended up getting they got out. Dark Zero got out. Oxygen and TSM had a pretty good match. Sets of bouts. TSM ends up by getting the win over there. So another Canadian, Fox A. Unfortunately, it doesn't get to push further.
We can't win, man.
It's just our Canadians, man. We're hurting right now. We're bleeding out. We're losing everyone. But what ends up by happening is like even some of the big ones that people thought had a big chance, like G2 got knocked out. Empire got knocked out. Like all these like
G2 did not do very well.
No,
very surprising.
I mean, look, you get rid of freaking Fabian and Pengu's retired. What do you expect's gonna happen? Like, come on.
I mean, Fabian was playing on Vitality.
Well, I know, but I mean, like he got benched. You know what I mean? That's what I mean. Like, if he would have been with his team, there's a good chance that who knows they could have gone even further. You know, G2 could have stood more of a chance, but he got benched and all that. Oh man, but yeah.
But it's
no matter what. After Oxygen got booted out, I'm like, you know what, Team Liquid, they might have a chance. Like, and Steph had said, I'm gonna go with ninjas in pajamas. And there was a DM that Steph sent me that I didn't reply to, and it was just out of the blue.
Liquid is crazy.
Yeah, she said, yeah. She just goes and she writes, holy crap, Liquid is insane. And I'm like, all right, sounds like my boys are gonna have a chance. No, they didn't win.
The thing is, if in general the winners of SI is LATAM, I don't think anyone who follows the Siege Pro League could ever say that LATAM was bad.
No.
LATAM, like every SI, LATAM brings
They bring the noise.
And we saw it last year where they almost beat SSG and somehow SSG pulled it off. We don't know how, but they somehow did.
Thank you, Canadian.
He's not dead.
He's retired, okay?
But truly, like LATAM was incredible this year, and I don't know what it is. I don't know what supplements they're on, or like if they're just getting enough sleep. Like
it's that Evolve supplements.
They were insane, and truly, I think between Liquid and NIP, either of them deserve the win because they were both very, very strong contenders. I have a soft spot for NIP because I've seen them play live and I know that they have that in them, and their roster, like I mentioned to you, their roster hasn't changed. Like since, I believe, I could be wrong, but from what I've heard, since they started that roster basically hasn't changed, and it's still been the five of them like still kicking butt. So I'm like, part of me's like, you know, they deserve a win. And Liquid won Atlantic City, so it's like, come on.
let the other LATAM team have a chance here. Come on, share the wealth. No, that makes sense. That makes sense. We're pretty much over time just now, or we're about to wrap up. One big thing that I want to talk about within the Siege community, two things. One I'll briefly mention right now because, like I said, Nick brought this to my attention about 20 minutes ago now. Skies from Dark Zero has announced that he's retiring. So, hot off the presses, Skies from Dark Zero has announced his retirement. It is unfortunate that the man decided to do that because Dark Zero, within the last little bit, has strongly become my second favorite team for NA. And they have had some insane matches where they have done some unique strats, just like SSG, and they have brought the noise. And I just want to say thank you, guys, for your time playing for Dark Zero. You guys are insane, and I wish you the best of luck in whatever the hell you're going to do now, which is probably streaming because you're a madman.
Someone else also announced yesterday that they're retiring.
Who? Oh no! They're dropping left and right. It's terrible.
Box for England. I'm actually not sure who they used to play for, but
unfortunately, I don't know who you are, and I'm very sorry. You're a name that I don't recognize, but I hope also I wish you the best in all your future endeavors. That's the old WWE stint you'd say to someone when you fire them. But more importantly, on a serious note, there's been a rumbling in the Siege community about comments that were said by a former pro who I don't even want to say their name, but I have to for the sake of people understanding what's going on. I will not quote exactly what was said because it is disgusting and immature and just downright dehumanizing. Fluke, for those who don't know, is I believe she's transgender
Mhm.
caster for the UK broadcast side of Siege.
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Fluke does EU.
Yeah. She's an amazing caster, great insight. She's always fun to hear and get her opinions on things. And unfortunately, a former pro by the name of K9 hopped onto Twitter one day and decided to write. And again, I will not quote exactly what he said because it's just sad. Of saying, I turn on to the SI to watch what's going on, and I see a trans person, and I'm not saying what he wrote. I'm just saying a
Slur
trans.
for a trans
Yeah,
person.
yeah. A slur for a trans person on the air casting. What has Siege come to? We have gone so far in this world, not even just in gaming, but just in life in general, where garbage words like that shouldn't even come to mind to be said, let alone publicly blasting someone who's just doing their goddamn job and doing a great job at that for what they're doing, from a person who basically just comes on the air, or that comes there, sorry, goes on Twitter to stir up controversy because they have nothing better in their life because they weren't good enough to be a pro league person anymore. Yeah, sure, you may be able to kick my ass in Siege right now, but at least I know that I can come back home and relax and know that I'm not a garbage human being who says things just to get attention. It is sick and disgusting, and I hope that we are able to just remove this blight from the Siege community as fast as we can, and it has already started. Because Steph, you're the one who had told me this, that some people have started changing some of the names, the local call out to certain areas from K9 to either Fluke in honor of that caster because she deserves it, or just calling it Ego because
Yeah.
you have to be an ego son of a bitch to say something like that. Steph, I'm sure that I don't want to put words in your mouth, but this is your time. If you want to say something, go right ahead. Your thoughts on what has happened, what has transpired.
I It's weird because I wasn't watching the match that day
Mm-hmm.
when it happened, so I was on Twitter. And to basically kind of reword the tweet that I replied with and then later tweeted out on my own Twitter. Um it's sad when someone who wasn't very well liked in the esports scene retires because they were a dick and then comes back to try to cause more drama, but nobody still likes them. Were and you are irrelevant and you should stay gone.
Yeah.
We're
Well
a better
said.
community because they're gone.
Yes, that is so elegantly said. There's words that I would love to say that I will not say on air. I might not even say in private to certain people because those individuals like him are reasons why let's just say I get mad. Let's just say that. Let's just say that I have dealt with bullies or just naysayers like that before, and it's just not a fun experience. We'll just leave it as that. But on a positive note, well, it's still kind of a downer, but it's not as downer. We're gonna be wrapping up the show, but that means that
Wow.
but that means no, right? An hour went by real fast. This is good. I like it. What needs to be said now is that don't you worry, you'll get more of us every Monday. We'll ask the schmucks if 12 p.m. works, or we can go to the true and tested 1 p.m., which is usually the setting for all the other ones. Just let me know, guys. Do it in the Discord if you can, or just send me a DM. But if Steph, they want to catch you and all the wonderful, beautiful cosplay creations that you do, the art that you make, the games that you play, where can they catch you?
You can find me at twitch.tv/Stephanie Moss. Stephanie spelled with an F and two N's and an I with an underscore with Moss spelled with an MAH. The same thing is on my Twitter.
There you go. And if you're ever interested to see what an old man rambles about, or if you want to see cute pictures of my kids, Instagram, Twitter, really there's the two main ones that you can catch me on. It's at SSN Larcher.
They're very cute.
Yes, yeah. Felix and Sam are adorable. Also, if you want to see anything that we tweet about for SSN, you can always catch us on Twitter, officially SSN. Same thing on Instagram, and also when we do post stuff, it'll be on the TikTok. It'll also be officially SSN. But for now, I've been me. That's Steph. We got a quick little post show to do, and we're gonna talk to you guys later. For now, if you're not a part of that. So bye everybody. Love you.
Bye.
Boom boom and.